What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. Go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you.
Shout out to our friends over at Captain Beard Co. Guys, if you are looking for beard care products, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, give Captain Beard Co. a try. They have this unbelievable beard butter, balm, oils, and then it smells amazing. Ladies, if you're looking for something for your men as a gift to help with their grooming, check them out. Also, if you guys are looking to just set the mood one night, candles, unbelievably smelling candles made with all natural ingredients here locally to St. Louis. Give them a shot. Also, while you're there, use the promo code Zach and Pat for 10% off your purchase.
Hey there, guys. I really appreciate you checking out the Zach and Pat Show. If you can obviously tell, we are a newer podcast, but one way we're really trying to grow the show is trying to get up the amount of subscribers we have. So, you know, if you're watching the show and you're getting something out of it, we'd really appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button. That would help us out a ton. Please click that button. And now back to the show. Well, guys, we have a very special episode kind of planned here. We, kind of something we've never done. We've brought someone else in, some other people in here for our book review, and who else other than
the moms?
Two of the most important women in our lives, the mother of our children.
Yes.
We're joined today by my wife Gina Fagas and Melisa Menkovic.
Yeah.
Menkovic. Did I say that right? But we read Good Inside by Dr. Becky Kennedy. We all kind of read it together over the last month, and we're just going to kind of break it down. So, ladies, what did you guys think of the book?
I think it was pretty good.
Yeah?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Zach said you crushed it in like 2 days.
Yeah. Calvin was sick, so we were laying in bed for like 2 days, and I just read it.
Yeah.
I had every intention of reading it in Florida when we went to visit Pat's parents. It didn't happen at all. But I did, I finished it, and I genuinely loved it from front to back. My book is covered in notes and everything, and just kind of, I kept going back and when I do read, any book I read, I like stop and think, and this one really just made me like stop and like dig deeper into like me as a parent. What am I doing? I never look at it as like, what are they doing wrong? It's like, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah.
So this was eye opening.
It seems like the big kind of theme of the book. It's kind of like coaching the parents more
absolutely.
than the kids. You know? It's kind of like changing how you think about what they're thinking, what they're doing.
Being proactive rather than reactive.
Mm-hmm. And that's something I was telling, I can't remember who I was talking to about this, but I was like, there's a lot of stuff that like you've told me to do, or things that, because you're just way more ahead of the game with like the whole parenting thing than I am. You're a special education teacher. Your teachers, what you spend your whole career has been based around spending your time with children and, seeing how they think. I was brand new to, the kids scene when we had kids. Like I've just been kind of learning on the fly here, and you've taught me so much. But there's a lot of things in here that you've like told me to do, or like, hey, this is why he's thinking this way because you're doing this. And it's like, I've heard it from you, but like to hear it from her, it's like
Hear it from a doctor.
Yeah, to hear it from a doctor. It just meant a little bit more, or not a little bit more, but like it was just a different perspective on it.
Well, that's something that we're all gonna have to deal with as the kids grow. We're gonna tell them to do something, and they're not gonna listen. But someone else tells them to do the same thing, they'll listen. But like for us, Melissa stepped up like immediately, had that motherly instinct, and I'm just kind of like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? But like, because you can read all the parenting books you want, but you're like this. If there's any book that I would tell new parents to read, it would be this book. Because I read countless other books heading into it, like trying to prepare myself, and none of them prepared me for what was about to happen. And this one, though, I wish I would have had this from the get-go in the beginning, because it's just a simple concept in terms of you've got two sides. Your kids are always going to be good, but they can do bad things. But that doesn't change the fact that they're not good people.
They're still good.
They're still good inside. And you just, and the whole listening to understand and actually putting yourself in their situation and understanding, not being able to, like thinking on it, like, I don't know how, because of with the emotions and everything that we deal with on a daily basis, if I didn't know how to express those and I had to act out how I felt, eye-opening book to help me understand the boys and trying to implement some of those things that they talk about in the book when it comes to talking to them. So
yeah,
I don't think anybody really truly realizes how hard parenting is until you become a parent. Like everyone's like, oh, it's cool. Like you have like a little mini you, but it is the most exhausting job you will ever do in your entire life from morning to night. I mean, it's every day. You
Doesn't
have to
stop.
always be on. It doesn't end. There's no like, okay, I'm just going to like shut it off. It's constant, constantly trying to do better and be better and be a better parent. It's just exhausting. And you really don't know what you're doing until you start, and it's a lot.
And it's a lot of it. I feel like you almost kind of have to learn while you're doing it. Like
Mhm.
I think if I read this book before Calvin was born, like
It would mean nothing.
it would probably mean nothing, But now that he's 2.5, almost 3 now, shit,
Yeah.
and it means so much more because it's like, oh yes, I've experienced him doing that. Oh yeah, he doesn't listen when I ask him to go do this or whatever, and just seeing how she kind of breaks everything down, it was great. No, I really really enjoyed this book.
And
Oh.
even so, I feel like the second half of the book was like lying, cheating, like all those deceitful things that like we don't have yet.
No.
But you guys have
Yes.
with
Yes.
yours.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
like
for sure.
reading it
There
again.
was a specific one about like sports, like about Connor is very, very, very competitive. I mean, like we literally played keepy uppy last night, and I was keeping score. He's like, no, I'm gonna keep score. I'm gonna keep score. He was literally getting so upset because he was losing at a balloon game. Like he's very competitive, and it's definitely not for me. It's probably from Pat because I have no competitiveness in my body. I'm like whatever. But reading that specific chapter was like, okay, I'm not trying to change. I'm not trying to stop him from being competitive. It's more of like understanding where that's coming from. But it was just so eye opening each single chapter. And there were some that really don't relate to us anymore. Like it's as parents, like more of that separation anxiety because they're a little bit older now. When they were younger, yes, they did. Like when mom and dad would leave the house, it was like a meltdown, So there was
More so
some
when
chapters,
They
but
didn't really
more
give a
so
shit
mom.
about me.
Yeah.
It still is.
Yeah.
But
Same
they're
here.
mama's boys.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, yeah.
there are definitely more chapters than others that probably related more to you guys than it did to us and vice versa. So it was cool to read through them and think about like the past and kind of how it was.
Kind of
So,
laugh at some
laugh
of
a little
some-
bit.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Man. But no, it's I think like you were talking about before towards the end, I mean, how some of this stuff doesn't apply, but also like at the end, like continue to read this book and use it because and practice it. Continue to practice the things that are in this because, like I said, it's going to be different phases for different things. But yeah, so I mean, that's the thing is just continuing to practice it yourself. And I also think too that a portion of this is you can relate this into relationship life as well, and things that you can do for bettering your relationship with your partners or co-parents, and in our situation. But yeah, I mean, and I think what's great too is Dalton took it upon himself to read it, and I give kudos and props to these two for what they're doing on that side of it, and Dalton stepping up and being able to do what he does with the boys, and coming and talking to me and having those conversations like, hey, how are we going to raise these boys? How do we want to, and have those conversations? And I couldn't ask for a better stepdad for the boys than them. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loves those boys.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it ourselves, and we've talked about it on the show, but like something that you guys have done here, you guys not being together anymore, but like still maintaining such a good relationship, between each other. And it's not
Yeah.
like, it's just so great for the boys. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys everything that you guys do is for them, and and you've been able to keep such a great relationship together, even though you're not together anymore.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to see. And I wish, I'm sure a lot of people out there, that have parents that are divorced would have wished that their parents did what you guys have
Yeah.
done here. And I just think it's beautiful.
appreciate that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
just
Try
a
hard. Yeah.
lot of
Yeah,
a lot of
'cause it's not
counseling.
easy,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah,
easy.
no, it's not.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But we love our boys more than life. And
Well, that was something that her and I never had an issue with. Like we worked well together, we co-parent well together. Last aspect, just
Yeah.
relationship wise, just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
But we're still,
Yeah.
give us about 5 days in the same place.
I'm like, get out.
We start wanting to like
Kill each
fall
other.
fall back into that routine, but like small doses, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Small doses. Yeah.
You always see that like kids of divorced parents and the parents can't be in the same room or the parents can't do things together.
Yeah.
You guys just went on vacation together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys went on
Like
vacation
you,
together?
yeah, with Dalton, you
Yeah.
were traveling with
Yeah,
them.
Dalton
Like,
and
you don't
I-
see that.
Yeah, Dalton and I drove 11 hours together in a car.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
you got stuck at the airport.
And you were not stuck at the airport for 48 hours. That was great.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
God.
miserable. With 2 boys. They were literally like, just run. I don't even care at this point. Just run,
Oh, God.
But anyways, you had mentioned something about relating this to adult relationships. There's one specific line in here, it's for the very end. It says, in order to change behavior or change yourself, you have to feel good inside. And that resonated so much with me because if you think about it, I mean, even in adult relationships with whether it's a boss or your romantic relationship, whatever it is, I mean, how often do you and that other person get anywhere by screaming at each other, by berating or belittling each other? You know, it's like when I make you feel good inside, if it's a problem or something, like you are more inherent to either cooperate or to understand and to listen and to make a change. You know, so it's like I take that and I think about my kids, even though I'm not in a relationship with my children. I mean, not, I'm their mother, but I can never expect them to cooperate, to listen, to want to change, to want to do anything if I'm making them feel like absolute crap and telling them you're terrible. Look at what you did. I mean, look at you and I. I mean, you and I berated each other for years.
Right.
You know, I mean, we said mean things to each other, and it was like, where did that get us? You know, so it's like they didn't get us anywhere. It didn't do anything for you. It didn't do anything for me. So it's like if you take that same concept and apply it to your children, it's like if you make them feel good inside and good about who they are, they will make changes, whether it's behavioral, whether it's, I mean, your tantrums. Obviously the whole book is mainly about, self-regulating yourselves to help regulate your children. And so it's like be the calm that they need. You cannot expect big changes from your kids when you're making them feel so little, and that was so empowering to hear. And I know that, we've talked about that so many times, like just have to calm ourselves, just it's hard and it is hard. And last week we were in the car and, I told the boys, I'm like, from now on, like no more yelling. Like we all lose our shit. Like we're parents, like it takes so much. And then you're like, because guess what? Like we as adults, we always don't have that, can't always express emotional regulation. Right. And so I told the kids in the car, I'm like, no more yelling. Like we're good. We're done. And the other day I got frustrated with Oliver over clothing. You know how he is. He wanted to wear like 17 different layers of clothes. And Connor comes by and he like puts his hand on my shoulder and he was like, remember, calm down, take a breath,
wow.
So to see him like, just use the things that like I teach him, like, okay, let's take a breath, let's calm down. And like he was trying to help me regulate myself. And he's like, no yelling. So I was like, damn it, he's right. And I'm like, shit.
Just need a clip in there from Billy Madison. No yelling on the bus.
Yes. Yeah. So to see them even, do anything that we've done as parents, like whether it's, taking a moment to like step back or calm down, like to see them use that same kind of stuff. It is cool. I was like, you're like, oh, it actually does work. Or,
Well, the fact that he noticed that,
Yeah.
like that's,
he's like, mom's getting ready to freak out.
yeah.
Mom, take a breath. Mom, calm down. Remember, mom, no yelling. So it was just funny. Yeah.
We're a little far away from that, aren't
Yeah.
we? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
But also with that, she talks about that, what does she call it? Most generous interpretation of it. So like presuming positive intentions about people. And I think that's so important when we, go anywhere. When someone in front of you is going slow at the grocery store, like they might be going through something too. And kind of going through that with our kids. Like, okay, separate that behavior from the kid and what's actually going on inside that's making them act that way.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher and, we learn all the time that behavior has 4 functions. It's either they're acting out because they're escaping something, they want something, they need access to something, or they need attention or like a sensory stimulation. So like figuring that out. Like that other day when you were working and Calvin was trying to get your attention. He's like, daddy, 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 daddy. And you didn't hear him. Guess what he did? He hit Theo. And it got his attention right away.
Right.
And so seeing those kinds of things and seeing like, okay, if we get that attention met early, we can avoid those behaviors.
Yeah, I definitely hear the kids all the time like, Dad, Dad, Dad. And he's either, he's doing something else or not paying attention. And then they act out,
for
like,
sure.
Because it gets it.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. It got my attention for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want him hitting his little 6-month-old brother.
No.
But it's getting to that root of that and seeing.
Oh yeah, no, you said that and I was like, you're right. Fuck, I
Yeah,
should have caught that. And yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah, I've been trying to do better with that because like there's times like I will sit there and look at them and they're just screaming, daddy, 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 daddy. And I'm just like, what?
It's that like Billy Madison.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
What is that?
Not Billy Madison.
Big Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I never understood that scene until I had kids.
Until you have your own
you're like,
kids.
oh, yeah, okay, I
Oh,
get
yeah. It's so true. Yeah. the other night I was putting the boys to bed, and it's did Connor say to me, I had tucked him in, and then I went down. They had like share bunk beds at our house, and to me, like, Mom, like, it's really hard being a mom. All by himself. Like he's like, Mom, he's like, it's really hard being a mom. And I literally almost like broke down crying. I was like, yes. I'm like, it is. And I said, you know what? I said, but it's also really hard to be a dad, and it's really hard to be a stepdad. He's like, yeah, but you do everything, Mom.
Yeah,
I was like,
would say the same
okay.
thing.
I was like, yeah, well, but yeah, they're amazing boys, and I know Pat can speak for himself, but they're just incredible boys, and it's not. I think the hardest part about being a parent is like genuinely seeing the good inside of them and not seeing the behavior, like you said. Like you have to separate the behavior from the child and kind of get down to that root
Yeah, they're not
cause
being bad. They're not out to get
Exactly,
you.
yeah.
They're just going through something,
Yeah,
and you got to
yeah.
kind of help them through.
Well, how is it, I mean, being a teacher, especially being a teacher of special needs, I mean, did you already know a lot or have come across a lot of this stuff or taught a lot of the stuff that was in this book? So was it just like a recap, or is there anything new in there that you're able to use? And
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is things that we learn in school. However, I feel like it's way easier to do it in school than it is with my own kid.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like,
Why is that?
well, I also think it's in the school environment. Like everybody in the school environment kind of knows what we're doing. Whereas like when I'm out in public with Calvin and all eyes are on me,
Mhm.
it like changes. Like you want to just fix it really quick rather than
In
like
fear of judgment, in fear of like
putting a
absolutely.
cap on
Yeah,
it rather
yeah,
than like
yeah.
working through it.
Yeah.
And like, one time we were at Kirkwood Farmers Market, during the pumpkin patch, and Calvin was having such a good time throwing corn,
Mhm.
having a good time. But all these moms around her were like, and so I felt like I needed to
Stop
remove
him.
Calvin
Absolutely. Yeah.
when he wasn't doing anything
Nothing
wrong.
bad,
He
yeah.
was just
Yeah.
exploring.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's some of the hardest things, like as a parent, you want to make everybody else happy or like correct it when you don't need to.
Yeah.
But like in the school setting, like in my classroom, every para, every whatever, like we could have kids that are, hitting us all, but we know that they're doing it for attention and we just all need to ignore it and it's okay. But like if I was doing that in public, people would be like, hell,
Yeah.
why are you letting your kid do this?
Yeah, it has a similar situation on an airplane with the boys. Not so much throwing things, but just them bouncing around on a long flight from Vegas back to St. Louis. And we were the first ones on. So we picked our flight, we go all the way in the back. And then there was still plenty of seats, but the next group came on. I'm watching them. It was these two younger women, and they are hung over as fuck.
They're
And
like, don't sit by
I'm like,
us.
please don't sit in front of us. Please don't sit in front of us.
Where do they
Sure
sit?
as shit, they sit in front of us. And I'm like, I know it's going to happen. They're going to turn around and say something because the boys are being loud or they bump their seats. And sure as shit.
Yeah.
And I was traveling with my mom at the time too. So that doesn't
help.
That doesn't help at all because she's egging these boys on to have fun, and that's fine. Like
Grandma's there for fun.
yeah. And now, granted, they were kicking the seats. So I'm like, boys, we can't kick the seats. You can literally do everything else. Just don't kick the seats in front of you. Well,
When you tell them that's what they want to do.
right, exactly.
You
Well-
tell them the opposite of what you want.
Then so they stop,
one thing
but
too.
then like they just start playing with the tray, and this girl turns around and just glares at me, and I just smiled at her. I said, "You had plenty of other seats to choose from," and she just snapped her head back around. And then later on, boys were doing it again, and they turn around. Can you please calm your boys down? And I said, hold your horses there. Again, you had plenty of other seats to choose from. You got on. You saw that I had two kids sitting here with me, and you sat in that seat. They're boys. At the time, they were 3 and 4. I was like, they're 3 and 4 years old on a flight, and they're getting a little rambunctious. You need to chill the fuck out.
Kids are allowed
Oh,
to exist in our
yeah.
environments as
I
well.
know.
Exactly.
I
No,
think
the
people
flight.
forget
I ended up getting. I had to talk to the flight attendant about that one because they're like, "Sir, please don't cuss at our other flyers." I'm like, "Then tell them to sit the fuck down and shut up." Like, I'm like, seriously, they're 3 and 4 years old. What do you want me to do? They're for the most part, they're
Yeah.
being pretty good. Now you're going to yell at me because they didn't have headphones on. I'm like, take your pick. Do you want them yelling at the kids turning around because they're kicking, or do you want them to sit still because they don't have headphones on? Which is the dumbest thing ever. You got to have headphones on when I can hear people talking next to me.
Right.
Like, what's the difference? Like,
I
But
remember
anyway,
one time
but-
we didn't have headphones for the kids, And I don't know why we didn't, but they were watching something, and obviously, as me as a mother, like anytime we go on a flight, like I am I am very prepared. Like the snacks, everything's downloaded on the iPad, like and not for much, not and again, not so much because of them, but because of other people. Like you don't want them to create chaos. You don't want them to be loud. Like you don't want other parents like staring at you or whatever, giving you the stink eye. Like you're just like the worst person ever. It's hard containing a 3 and a 4-year-old in a seat for a 4-hour flight. So it's funny, Gina, that you brought that up because I saw this post earlier. I saved it. And it said, I saw one parenting question that completely changed how I parent. And I want to read this. He said, just the other day, I found myself saying no to my kids all day long. No, you can't use that. No, you can't paint here. No, you can't wear that. And then I came across this question. Is it dangerous or is it just inconvenient? It stopped me in my tracks because let's be honest, most of the time what kids do is just annoying or inconvenient. It's rarely dangerous or unsafe. So then it said, and I realized that most of my no's are really about me. It's my dislike of messes, my annoyances, my fears of being judged by others. So I decided to try something different. And so essentially it was like, so every time my kids do something, I have to ask myself, is it actually dangerous or is it just inconvenient or annoying? And that is so, so true. It's like when you hear like there's a meme or like a picture with Ben Affleck smoking a cigarette. And it was like when you hear the Lego box dump over and it just makes you so annoyed, And it's like, so I let my kids. Yeah. And it's not because it's dangerous or unsafe. You're just annoyed. And like, I think so many parents.
The Lego box on the floor can be dangerous too when you step on
when you step on it. Yeah. We've seen that in Home Alone. Yeah. We know the effects of all that.
I've experienced it a few times. It's not pleasant.
Our new thing's Play-Doh. We've been real into Play-Doh.
So we can only play it on the table. We got rules.
We got rules with the Play-Doh.
Absolutely,
it's the new thing.
You mentioned that. I just did this the other day with Oliver, and now that you mentioned it, I'm thinking like, it's just more of an annoyance for me because he wanted to paint.
Oh, he loves to paint. He's so crafty.
So for Christmas, I got him this.
Crafty.
I got him this coloring set or this.
Was that for his birthday or for Christmas? When he said, "This is the fucking worst."
That was his birthday. That was his birthday. So for his birthday, I don't know where he got it in his head that he was going to get a PS5.
No, they've been saying that for months.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
he's like Santa's going to bring it. I'm like, no, the fuck he's not. I'm like,
no, I was not a video game kid, so I don't. You can have video games at mom's house.
We have a Switch, and it's like few and far between they can play it. But.
And I'm just like, when you're with me, we're not gonna have. We'll do other things. So I wasn't a video game guy, so I don't relate to that. And so, but somewhere he got it in his head that he was gonna get a PS5 for his birthday, and so I bring out this. And it didn't help that I brought out this big bag because I put everything in, wrapped it in tissue, put it in the bag, but it was like a big coloring set that came with colored pencils, crayons, paints, all this stuff, and then a bunch of coloring books. And I brought it out in this really tall bag that would fit a PS5.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
First mistake.
But right. Well, that I wasn't thinking like this kid actually thinks he's going to get a PS5. So anyway, he starts opening it and he looks at it. He's like, "What the fuck is this?"
No, he said this is the fucking
worst. This is the fucking worst. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like,
our 5-year-old, ladies and gentlemen, like solid.
Yeah. He's like, "This is the fucking worst."
Oh my God.
And I just look at Connor and I just like, how do we not laugh at that? Because that's hilarious. And then so we start laughing. And then he gets even more mad.
Yeah, he's pissed
you're
now.
He's like, "Stop laughing at me. This is the fucking worst," and storms out again. And just storms out of the room. And Connor and I are like, thank God he left because him and I were dying laughing. And he'd come back in and he's like, stomp his foot. He's like, stop it.
Yeah.
And we're like, sorry, buddy. And I'm just like, that's fine. If you don't like it, these are Connor's now. And then Connor and I will go color and paint and all that stuff. So we do. Connor and I go to the countertop and we start coloring. And then the next thing you know, Oliver joins right in, and by the end of the night, he had colored 2 of the books already. I'm like,
well, he had called me after he said that, and he was like, he was upset. I mean, obviously, it's not the reaction you expect from your 5-year-old. So he called me, and he's like, "Guess what? He just fucking said." Yeah. So he calls me, and I'm like, "Oliver," it was like, "I understand. You might not like it." I was like, "But it's a gift." I'm like, "We say thank you, and if you don't like it, and or whatever." I was like, "But." Daddy put thought into this and yada, yada, yada. And then we had that conversation. Like a few hours later, he called me back. They always FaceTime me before bedtime. And he's like, Mom, he's like, I actually really like it. You know, he was like all excited about it. And I was like, oh, Jesus. I mean, I knew he would. I told him, I was like, you know, give him some artsy stuff. Like, he loves arts and crafts. And so, yeah. But you have so much to look forward to, guys.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, oh, boy. Well,
man.
I mean, he's, you know, Calvin's at a point now where, I mean, he can full on have a conversation with him, and he says some of the funniest shit. Like, Gina's got a video the other day. Like, he you know, he's pooping on the toilet now, and he looks down.
And he's proud
He's
of his poop.
that's
He's
awesome.
proud of his poop.
That's
He goes-
awesome.
he gets down, he looks, he goes, "That's a big ass turd." I was like, I guess he heard me say it.
Oh my
sometime.
God, that's hilarious.
It was so funny. And Gina got a video of him the other day that was like, "Hey, what did you say when you pooped on the toilet this morning with Daddy?" "It's a big ass turd."
Oh my gosh.
It
That
was
is
so funny.
Well,
He was
So
cracking
funny.
me up.
I mean, it's wrong that we're prompting them to cuss, but it
But
is
they're
also
using it
It's
properly.
it's also
I mean,
it's also really cute and funny when they say it. Like, there's a video of Oliver like right after he turned 2 or 3, maybe, when you're sitting on the couch. He's like, fucking shit. Fucking shit.
Fucking shit. Oh, he was like 2 years old maybe. And I'm like, oh my God. Ooh. It's so funny because like he was cursing or something. He said a bad word one day and for my mom, and my mom goes, he learned that from Pat. And I was like, yep, sure did. As if I don't.
Yeah.
Calvin, one time we were going to Target, and you know, I got some road rage sometimes, and this car was in front of me. I was like, this fucking car. And Calvin, once we got out of the car, all the way into Target, he was going, these fucking cars. And I was like, you got to stop before we get into the store,
Right.
please.
Yeah, please.
We've turned it into, those are adult words.
Yes.
They're not bad words, they're adult words. When you become an adult, then you can say them. Because we don't want them to think that it's necessarily bad to say those things. It's just, they're adult words.
I'm
But
sure we could pay him back a little bit.
yeah, we
but-
could too.
I don't
And,
know.
you
That's
know,
what we kind of talked about. That's what we're going to do, like
Yeah.
adult words, or, you know,
Yeah.
you can, if you use them, you know, you don't use them at somebody, you don't use them to
Mhm.
people of authority.
Yeah.
But
You say them here at
At
home.
home, it's okay.
I feel like the
Can I
more
get
you
over
tell them,
whatever?
like, no, it's, you know, like the more they want to do it. If you
Of
make it like no
course.
big deal, then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's no big deal. Like they
Right.
don't think about it as much. But be like, oh my God, don't ever say that. You know,
Yeah.
like, they're going to want to say it more. You know,
Right.
it's like, it's common sense. But yeah.
and we're not going to censor ourselves. I mean, we can.
Yeah.
I don't
I-
try to, but
I really don't at all.
I-
to be honest,
I don't.
I mean, I just talk like how I talk.
Yeah.
mhm.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything like super vulgar around them, but
Right.
like
Right.
I feel like I don't. Want, you
Well,
know,
that's the thing too, is like, we're not necessarily like saying it in a derogatory way towards people.
No.
Like, oh, I stubbed my toe.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Right.
Like, you know,
it comes out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't help it sometimes,
Sure.
you know?
course.
And so, but
We're going to have to like censor this entire part of the podcast.
Yeah.
no, not at all. This is
that's
what,
the beauty
yeah,
of it.
this
That's
is the
the
great
beauty
thing
of
about it. Yeah.
We just let it ride
Yeah.
on YouTube.
I think I went on a rant on like our first or second one where I dropped the F bombs like 30 times.
You're
in
like, yeah, you
2
listen to it, you're
minutes.
like, dude, I gotta stop
I
saying
gotta
fuck so
stop.
much.
I say way too much.
When you hear yourself back, you're like, oh, wow, I cursed a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had our video marketing girl, Alyssa, go back and edit one of my blooper videos because I said the F word like 7,000 times. I'm like, my mom. I'm
Yeah.
like, please, don't do it. I'm like, good God.
Yeah, and she blames me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there was a time Connor got in trouble at school for
Oh.
they were reading a book or something. He stood up after the story and was like, "What the fuck
Some-
is this?"
No. He
Stop
was
this.
excited. He was something, but he used a bad word, but he was like excited about
He said
something. It was
fuck.
story time. It was the F-bomb. And they were like, yeah, might want to just, kind of,
Well, I
talk to him about
Well,
that.
I
And
picked
I'm
I picked him up from school that day, and they're like, "We need to talk to you." And Connor's standing there, and he knows the adult words, when to use them, when not to use them. Like, obviously not at school. And the teacher's like, "We've got something serious to talk about." And I'm like, "What's that?" Connor said the F word today, and I looked at him, and he starts bawling.
Oh,
And,
he was so embarrassed.
was-
yeah.
yeah.
was
And he
just
starts
embarrassed,
bawling.
yeah.
And I said, "Well, what happened?" And she told me, and I was like, "That's actually funny." But I was like, "I get it. I'll talk to him." And she goes, "Well, this isn't the first time." I'm like, "Well, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. I'll talk to Melissa and see if you guys have talked to her about it. If that's, then we'll, but if this is the first time, then I'll take care of it. We'll be fine." And Connor's sitting there crying because he knows the rules. Like, hey, if you do this, soap in the mouth. Because he's gotten soap in the mouth before for cussing. He's deathly afraid of these like little tiny
Bars and stuff.
Yeah.
I had
So-
to do that. Yeah.
No. So I thought I was buying like a box of these big soap bars. I get it, and it's like 100 mini hotel.
Oh, you're set
Smaller than
now.
a hotel,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, the problem is like I used it on him and he bit down and he broke it in half and it got stuck in his teeth and he's like chomping and his mouth starts foaming and I'm just like, wow, this is not going how I was hoping it would go.
Well, maybe it taught.
But it did.
Right.
I'm like, dude, I just take a bar of soap and I put it on the counter. I said, you start acting bad or you start cussing. Like, hey, there's the bar. And he's like, he freaks out. He hates it, which I don't blame him.
Oliver
Yeah.
could care less.
Yeah, I was
Really?
like,
He's
yeah,
like, let me
give it here.
Oliver's
I'm
like,
gonna eat
do
the whole
it.
thing.
Yeah.
He's-
He's like, I don't care. Do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Man,
He's-
that's
and he'll
second
and he'll
child
sit there and he'll
syndrome.
stare at you and he would chomp that whole thing up like, I want another one. That's how Oliver is.
Wait till I mean, you're obviously your youngest
Yeah.
is too young to really notice the difference in personalities. Maybe
Yeah, a
baby
little
wise,
bit.
but like once her personalities start coming out, good God, that second child syndrome
he's-
is I don't give up.
Zero fucks.
Yeah.
Zero.
Calvin's
Calvin's
got
so
the I don't give a
strong-willed.
fuck.
Yeah.
Is he?
For sure. Oh yeah.
Is he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's a shit disturber for sure.
Connor?
100.
Runners are like sensitive, like empathetic.
Oh,
one.
no.
He's very emotional.
Rule follower.
Very,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
rule follower for sure. I mean, like he'll ask me, before
We
he,
don't follow rules.
before
with
he
Calvin.
does
No,
anything really. Yeah.
God.
But Ollie is more like that. You
Yeah.
know, he's very much like he's so strong. He's got a strong-willed child,
Yeah.
but I love him to death, man. But he's a hoot.
He's something else. The
He is,
videos
yeah.
of him falling. It's funny. I wish I had my camera out and rolling because he fell those 2 times with you. And then when I had him right afterwards, twice he fell with me.
On
He
the
just
ice.
fucking around
he
with
just
the
keeps
ice.
going
Yeah.
on the ice,
He-
and I told him, I'm like, Oliver, you're gonna fall. He's like, Nah, I'm good.
He's that fuck around and find out kid.
Yeah.
He is.
You know,
He is.
he's
God
just-
bless him.
That's how Calvin is too.
Yeah,
And
you could tell him no
yeah.
all
How
the
old is
time.
Calvin now? Again?
He'll be 3 in April.
3.
yeah.
Okay. Oh man, he's starting young. Good for
He's,
him.
I mean, he's got like teenager. He's terrible twos
Oh,
all
okay.
together.
Yeah.
I
We'll
thought
go somewhere. He's like,
teenage-
can I hit them? Can I hit all those kids?
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is so
Yeah.
funny.
He bit a kid at soccer on the
Oh,
nipple.
we
He
went-
still talks
Oh!
about it.
Yeah.
We went through a biting phase a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Oliver will every once in a while when he gets really mad, will still bite. But Connor, he did it for a little bit, but he's out of that. But Ollie's still every once in a while he's gotten
Did
Connor
he
to get a
ever
couple-
bite brother?
Mm-mm.
Ever? No.
All of his bites have been like when he's like playing, not even like
no.
aggressive. Like the kid at soccer, they were just rolling around playing, and he just got a little
I-
too excited and
Yeah.
bit him.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Which
Yeah.
is, I think, harder to like control. Like,
Yeah.
when he's angry, I can remove him from the
Yeah, yeah,
situation.
yeah.
When
Sure.
he's
Yeah,
happy,
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
No,
what's.
you're like, when are you gonna
Yeah.
do it? Yeah.
I'm just like
yeah.
nervous that he's gonna do it, and you're
Mhm.
like,
That's the only kid he's ever bit, and
Right,
then
he's-
you.
he's bit me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very common, I feel like, with kids like biting
Yeah.
parents. Is it like playful biting or like
It's
when
just
you're
angry
wrestling.
Yeah, it's
wrestling?
always
Oh,
been like
gotcha.
wrestling or like when we're doing that. Yeah, like just playing around. And yeah, he's bit me a handful of times now. But
He hasn't in a while.
He hasn't in a while. Yeah, it's
Knock on
been like
wood.
a few months now.
It's our
but-
last soccer tonight, so I hope not.
Yeah, let's end it. Let's end it on a good note, buddy.
Good note,
You
yeah.
know?
Oh, does he get his award tonight? Is he at Kickaroos? or
Yeah.
where is
Kickaroos,
he?
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
our
he,
second-
gets
medal.
he gets an award.
It's our second
That's
time
fun.
through it, but like after doing so we've done kicker. This is our second time doing Kickaroos, but now we just started this Kids Strong thing, and after seeing how Kids Strong is ran, we're like, oh god, like soccer is like, it's just like
Kickaroo is like
it's like
just
nothing. Yeah, well,
pointless,
like it's
yeah.
kind of pointless compared to the not pointless, but there's no like there's zero structure to it, and like the coach has like no control of the kids. At
Well,
all.
I mean,
And-
look at them. They're like
16.
they're teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like 16-year-old kids, whereas at Kids Strong, it's like they're full-blown adults, and it's like, I don't know, it's a lot more structure. Like they have a plan for every class, whereas Kickaroos, it's like we come and like the same.
We don't
Little
even play
games.
soccer.
Yeah, there's never a
right.
point
They just
where
like
they
run
actually
on circles
Mhm.
and
run around
yeah.
circles, play with
Play with the
bubbles,
parachute,
and,
yeah.
play with the
Yeah.
parachute.
Speaking
He
of
wants to
that-
be on every other field. He's like, what are they doing? Can I
Yeah,
go over there? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Just stay here.
Speaking of Veta, we got to get them signed up for that summer camp, for the sports summer camp.
Which one?
The one right there, on Manchester. I did it when
Veta?
when I was younger.
Oh, I
they
was
did
thinking
summer-
about doing Lifetime. We can check about it later.
Okay,
But
yeah.
yeah.
because get them out of Goddard as soon as possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Really.
expensive. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Goddard's
Thank you.
great.
Woo.
Great, taught them a lot, but let's get them out as soon as
No
possible.
kidding, man. I can't wait till May.
Yeah.
Woo!
Get a pay
Get that,
raise.
Yeah.
get that tuition back.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah, and I've heard it's crazy.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're real fortunate that we have your parents and my mom
That is a
on
blessing.
one day a
Oh my
week.
gosh.
It's-
Yeah. Well, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, Kath and Den, they moved to Florida and they were like, see ya. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Like, oh.
That was the best thing
Great.
they could have done for us, though. Thank
Oh, stop.
you. No, seriously. Very nice of them to move to Florida.
You're ridiculous.
No, they would just show up if they lived here. they would have driven us insane. I love my parents. I do. I do. But they would have, well, like my mom would have driven us fucking crazy. She would have just shown up randomly at any time of the day and been like, I want the boys. And it would have been nap time. And she would have gone in and woke their asses up.
No.
Yes. Come on. Let's be real. Let's be real. She doesn't give a shit about any of the things that we try to put in place with these kids. I mean, that's grandma. Like they want to go see grandma because they know grandma will let them get away with anything. And there's no rules or structures or anything. And like such a pain in the ass coming back from Florida or something like that. Cause now we have to retrain them into like their routines because it's all jacked up because grandma's sitting there feeding them candy and all this stuff late at night. And
the phones you guys do with the like tablets and phones, and does Calvin ever ask for like phone or anything like that?
No, not really. Oh. I mean, yeah, he'll like want to grab. Well,
he'll one thing FaceTime. He loves FaceTiming my parents.
FaceTime at night, but
one thing he's really odd or like weird about is if I pick up Gina's phone and I'm holding Gina's phone, anytime you're holding something that belongs to somebody else, he gets very upset. Like if Gina's holding my phone, she'll like, no, that's Daddy's phone, and vice versa. Like he's odd about that, right?
Mm-hmm. But I've never really shown him that my phone can play YouTube or that my phone can do anything other than call people and pictures.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's got on TikTok because there's this like speech therapist that will be like 2-year-olds can do these things, and I'm like, can you do these? And then he'll go through those videos
and like show him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pat and I always agreed like, no YouTube. Like, don't get me wrong. There's been a couple times like they've watched it and stuff. Or like we don't do iPads. Like we go to dinner. Like Dalton and I will take the boys to dinner. Like we don't do phones. Like we don't do iPads. Like when we were in Florida, like I always told Kath, I was like, no phones. Go down there. Like no phones. Like 10 minutes later, like she gives them a phone, and I'm like, I just don't want my kids to be phone kids. I don't want to be social media kids, iPad kids. Like we are those parents that come to a restaurant without an iPad, so prepared to see a shit show because I'm like, I want them to learn to be present, to be around, and Pat and I always had, he's a big, he loves his phone. That's good. I mean, Pat's always on his phone, and like, so him and I'm always yelling at him, like, put it away. But like, I was always so adamant, and we both are, I mean, in regards to the kids, like no iPads unless we're traveling, then that's an exception. At the airport, that was an extreme, like I was like, take whatever you want at that point. That was a long day. But no, I feel like, I genuinely do feel like that has such a huge plays a huge mark on their behavior, behavioral issues when it comes to iPads and phones and screen time, and even like the Switch. I only give them a Switch maybe 30-40 minutes a day, like throughout the day they can play, and then we'll go 2-3 days without playing it at all, and they'll ask for it, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, no, it's all right. There's days with like when we're watching TV, or they'll come home from school and we won't have the TV on the entire night. They'll just be playing in the room. I'm like, I want you to go outside, go play in your room. Like, I'm just not a techie mom at all. Like, just kills me when you go to restaurants and kids are just like, on somebody's phone,
right?
Or iPads,
not paying any attention.
Yeah,
but
I get it. It's easy.
Yeah,
like, I get it.
Right, we've talked about that with our kids are older. We don't want that either. I said the only time I feel like we could maybe if it was like after they finished dinner, if we wanted to just sit around and talk, then maybe. But
every once in a while, I think it's a great tool.
Yeah,
it's a great tool. Like the boys, we downloaded this thing on my computer at home. It's called like Adapted Mind or something, and it's like and Ollie really enjoys it more than Connor, but it's like his level like of math, reading
those
skills,
kinds of
like
things
like that. I'm all for it. Like to use technology for tools.
I mean, I feel like that's what they're doing in school anyway these days.
Yeah,
right.
So.
Yeah, but to like sit on like TikTok or YouTube all day mindlessly, I can't get behind that. And again, no shade to any parent who does it, just not for me or our kids. Or we just try so hard not to.
YouTube is just such a. I mean, I feel like it
can
get out of hands.
Danger.
Yeah, I feel like it can get out of hands so quick.
But there's so many good things too.
Of course, yeah. Like I mean,
Calvin
honestly,
wouldn't be as smart as he is, honestly.
Without
I don't
Miss
think.
Rachel. I know Miss Rachel we were
our girl.
Yeah, our
we
girl.
were the Blippy.
Yeah, Blippy.
We love Blippy now.
Blippy, yeah. Calvin loves Blippy. It's like we have Theo watching Miss Rachel because Calvin's kind of grown out of Miss Rachel at this point, but he loves Blippy. And so Cal, if he comes in the room and I've got Miss Rachel on for Theo, he immediately like takes it from him and turns the TV off. That's his new thing. He likes to do. If you're watching something or you have something on the TV, he'll come in and take the remote and just turn it off. Like, dude, like, why? Like.
What about Bluey? Do you boys like Bluey?
No, and I want him to get into it so bad.
I fucking love Bluey.
It's great.
I fucking
I know.
like
Everybody
watching
says that,
Louis.
but he won't watch it.
I'm sure he will.
As he gets older.
I know. I
Yeah,
keep trying. He knows the characters. I'm like, how do you know them if you're not going to watch it?
Yeah.
But I want to try. But he doesn't really watch a lot of TV. It's just like the first 5 minutes of anything.
Right.
But like when we were making our playroom, Zach was like, "Oh, let's put a TV in there." I was like, "No, I want this to be strictly
Absolutely,
play.
yeah.
If he wants to watch TV, he can be in the other room."
Yeah. Glad we did that
Mhm.
because I didn't think about that.
But now he gravitates to play in the living room because Theo's in there.
right.
And you guys are there, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and,
For sure.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, we kind of bounce around. Sometimes he wants you in the playroom with him. Sometimes he's we're out with Theo sitting on the couches or whatever.
Mhm. But he doesn't sit there and watch.
No. But and that's the other
He'll
thing.
get into it for a few minutes and then
Whatever we watch, it's like we have to start everything from the beginning.
Absolutely.
We have
With-
to.
Like
Yeah.
it's 0, 0, 0, 0. Otherwise, it's like, nope,
Yes.
it's not the beginning.
It's not the beginning.
It's not the
And,
beginning.
we rarely see something all the way through.
Like there's so many movies that we've started, and I'm like, man, I just want to know how this movie ends. You know, you know,
What
like I
the fuck
still haven't. I
happens?
still want to watch. What is it? Boss Baby. I want to know how that. I want to know how it ends.
Oh.
We've only seen like the first 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, this one's kind of good. Alec Baldwin and
Catches your attention.
Oh my
These
God.
movies are
Yeah.
getting better and better. These like
Oh, yeah.
kids movies, like adults can really enjoy.
I'll be
them.
honest. The Disney originals that they create now, those
The Boys,
the
the
zombies
Others.
movies,
Yeah.
those zombies movies were pretty good,
Really?
and they got really good music. I'm
Yeah.
sitting there jamming out
Oh my
my car to
God.
the
Really?
to
If
the
I have
to
to hear
zombies
Exceptional
soundtrack.
Zed one more time, I'm gonna blow my brains out.
No,
Oh my
it's-
gosh!
It's there's some good ones. Yeah, that one's catchy, very catchy.
Now, if it's The Greatest Showman, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
The boys
Yeah.
love that movie.
Oh, they do?
The soundtrack's
Yeah.
obviously
Soundtrack's incredible.
just
Yeah.
incredible. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get behind. Like the boys always, Mom, Dalton, can we watch zombie movie? I'm like, no, I can't. Let's pick something different. Like I can't because I hear in the background all the time this Disney zombie movie. And it's just like, oh God, I just want to blow your brains out.
but it's got like a really good theme behind it, where you've got zombies and werewolves and aliens and all that are coming
They're
together,
trying to coexist.
together and accepting other people and things like that. But then you got the music that goes to it, and I like it. I think it's good music.
Yeah.
It is.
It's
but
your
not when your kid listens
Do
to
it all the time.
all
Yeah,
day,
that's true.
every
That's
day.
true.
But then again, like, there's songs that I like as an adult. Well, it's like, when I'm in the gym, like it'll replay.
Yeah.
So I can't harp on them too
We've got
much. But
we've got a rule with Calvin. We can only listen to the same song 3 times in a row.
we tried that.
Yeah,
That's what we do in the car because like
he'll just want to hear the same thing
Yeah.
over and over. And it's funny because we've got certain songs.
What
that
does he
play
like?
and Loves Taylor Swift.
Oh,
was gonna say-
He's a
Swiftie.
100% Swiftie.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, and that's
Like,
all her.
I guess it was last year because I was sick of watching Thomas the Train all the time.
Oh,
so I was
yeah.
like, it was right when the Taylor Swift documentary of the Eras Tour came out. I
Oh.
was like, let's just watch it because I know it's theatrical. Put it on Glued.
Really?
Loved it, yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Glued. And now he's just
What's his favorite?
Cruel Summer's his favorite song.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
Ooh, That's a good one.
Or White Whore. I mean, he probably has
he'll
about
name
30 songs that he
can
knows
name.
by like the minute it starts.
Yeah, within the first 15 seconds
He'll
of the song,
know.
he'll
Mhm.
tell you what the name of the
Kids
song
are so
is.
smart. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
Yeah, and then there's certain songs he likes in my truck, which is like it's just music that I like, which has just been funny. Like lately, like that "Sleeping on the Blacktop" song by Coulter Wall, which is like this guy who's got this like really deep
yeah.
he's like sunshine, like it's like a country song, but it's like yeah, it's funny. But
The
anyway,
boy's got a very-
he loves Red Hot Chili Peppers. He loves all sorts of.
And if we're in the car together, he'll say, whose phone is playing? And I'll be like, mine. And he'll say, okay, then I want, and he'll name
Yeah.
Taylor
'Cause
Swift
there's
song.
So-
we have a playlist.
a joint
so,
playlist
yeah.
that we can share through Spotify.
So
okay.
like I'll add songs. Well, it's hard because like they don't know, especially Oliver Connor. Yes, Connor, like the way he remembers music and
It's
lyrics
insane.
is insane. Like
Really?
he'll hear a song
Oh,
like,
yeah.
from 3 months ago, like, oh, that's that one song. Like, and he'll know he'll know the lyrics by heart, like immediately. But like, there'll be a Pat, and Pat will either introduce a new song or whatever, and then they'll come to moms and
Yeah.
like, Mom, can we play that one song? It goes like da 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 whatever. And I'm
Like,
like,
I
I
have
literally
no
have
idea.
no idea what you're talking about. So they'll get frustrated and mad, and they'll have to call Pat. So then we're like, you know what? Let's make a family playlist. And we share the Spotify account. And so like he'll put the song on and it'll be on there and I can see it and I'll have to guess. But like yesterday, we were in the car and we were playing music without words. It was just the melody and the
Instrumental.
music. And it was just like very like serene and peaceful for me. And then like they'll just hear like the first 15 seconds of the melody, no words, and they knew what the song was. It's like Shawn Mendes or whatever,
Yeah.
like anything from like country to pop to a Disney or Greatest Showman was on there too. And then you like instantly, it's so crazy. But
They're smart.
I
Man.
think Calvin's like that too. Like I could think he picks up those lyrics and knows.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he'll have some music
Oh.
sense in him.
yeah, like he'll definitely he can sing parts of songs. He'll remember parts of songs for sure.
said something I'd always wanted to I do want to get them into is something like I want them to be very well rounded. I mean, like I just played sports.
Same.
Like that was it.
I did nothing.
I want them to, get into gymnastics, get into music, get into arts, get into sports, like be well rounded, cooking, all the things. Like that was, I don't know. I just wish that was something that I did more of that I would like to do with them. And so, especially,
I was way more artsy as a child. Like I was never good at sports until like high school, and that's when I lost a bunch of weight and got into football and wrestling. But I played guitar. I was in a couple bands. I was really into like artwork and drawing, skateboarding. Yeah, I was always into like that kind of like artsy type stuff.
Yeah.
But then as I got older, I got into more sports and fitness stuff. But that's something I would definitely love for the boys to get into. I could totally see. I mean, Calvin loves to he loves playing with the Play-Doh and he likes to draw and stuff. So maybe that could be something he gets into, like painting and art. Whatever they want to do. I want to be behind it.
Yeah.
That's
totally.
How we want to support our kids like 100%. I never like Connor's more way sporty, and I never want Ollie. Ollie likes it, but he's not as interested in sports as Connor is, and I never want him to feel like he has to like kind of follow his brother's footsteps. It's like that's like the hardest thing. Being like kind of like second best. It's hard.
Right.
It's hard as a child to like, oh, my brother's so good at sports. Like, why am I not good? It's like I want him to find like what he loves, what he's good at, and I'm like, Mom, Dad, Dalton, like we'll support you 100%. Like whatever it is that you want to do, like we're here for you. So I just never want him to feel like he's not good enough.
Right. And everybody always asks me like, oh, how excited are you to get the boys in baseball? I'm like, they want to
care.
play. I don't give a shit. If they want to play baseball, they'll play baseball.
Yeah.
If not, I'm not. Whatever they want to do.
Being ballerina for all I care.
Right.
Go for it, man.
Hell yeah.
That's what we said, except we don't want to sit through things like that.
Oh, those dance competitions.
Dance competition, the gymnastics competitions, like all those.
I don't want a day long.
Oh, God.
Well, and
we haven't even
I'm wanting them to wrestle. It's the same
yet,
thing. So
I know. I know.
Yeah.
I like a one and done sports game,
Yeah.
Maybe a tournament, but
I don't know how these parents do like games every weekend, all weekend. Like, when do you have a lot? You know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
they
I mean,
don't.
Pat's family, like they were always, it was like every weekend, every night. It was either practice or
They waited
games.
until we could drive, and then that's when their life started.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Until at least somebody could drive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we look at your cousin and her kids and all their sports. It's
Mhm.
like all three of their kids play a million sports, and it just
Mhm.
seems like they're
That's
always
tough.
On the go.
they're always on the go. They're always at going from one game to another to all right, mom's going with Jackson to here and dad's going with Hadley to here, whatever it is, and it seems. I mean, it's kind of looking into our future there, and I'm like, oh man.
That's how it was with me. I mean, even through high school, playing two sports, I
Yeah, I
always
never-
had
What'd you
something.
play?
Field hockey and soccer.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So I was always, it was like in high school, soccer season was in the fall, but that was field hockey select season, and then vice versa the other time.
Mhm.
So I feel like I was always, even as a child, every night I feel like we had something.
Yeah, that's how I was. I mean, I was playing sometimes for 2 or 3 different hockey teams, and then in middle school through the start of high school, I had football in there, and then baseball was year round. I mean, it was always go, 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 go. And yeah, I mean, my parents were so like, all right, you're 15, you're getting your permit right now. And then you are going to drive as much as you possibly can with us. And then as soon as you're 16, they were more excited when I turned 16. They're like, all right, you ready to go to the DMV,
Yeah.
get this thing passed? Like, you ready? I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. And it got passed. And they're like, fuck yeah. See ya.
Freedom.
Yeah,
Freedom. But
Freedom.
no, I mean, I will say, from growing up around the sports and seeing like the parents party at games and trips and things like that, plus coaching now and seeing the interactions, plus, friends that have kids that play hockey and other sports, like these parents can get pretty crazy. Like they'll just go and barbecue and hang out in the parking lot and drink before the game or sneak in alcohol during games. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is wild. I mean, I remember in like the hotel trips, I mean,
Right.
like hearing stories now, like parents just getting so drunk and passing out in the lobby and things like this. Like, I'm like, hell,
Yeah.
this is what we have to.
Pat.
This is what we have to look forward to.
That's all
Yeah.
you. Enjoy.
Yeah, good times.
Oh God.
Making
I
new
feel
friends.
like parents, there's a lot of pressure on parents to, like do all these things
All
for
the
the
things.
kids
Yeah.
all the time, like on top of the house, on top of your job, like your life, like your kids have to constantly be involved in things. There's so much pressure to just do all the time.
Well, that's the thing they talk about it in the book too. Is like take time for yourself. As
Yeah,
as
I have a hard
parent.
time doing that.
Yeah.
Well, and I
And so
also
does she.
think, yeah, I do. But I also think like society now, we always feel like we have to be doing something that the kids never have time to just be bored.
Oh my
And
gosh,
just,
I
like-
love when my kids are bored.
Right.
I'm like, great. I love that for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
Figure
great.
it out
Yeah.
yourself rather than me having to entertain
Oh my
you all
God.
the
Yeah,
time.
no, I'm not your entertainment. I'm like, if you're bored, go find something to do. Like, figure it out. I don't care.
Mhm.
He's like, Mom, I'm bored. I'm like, I'll give you,
Great.
like, you want to do some laundry? I'll do laundry. I got plenty for you to do.
Right.
He's like, no, I'm fine.
No, I'm not bored
Entertain me.
anymore.
Yeah. I'm bored. I'm not bored. Yeah. I could care less if they're bored. I'm like, it's okay. The one other thing I noticed that I loved, I want to mention is like disappointment. Like, allow your child to feel disappointed. I am all for that. Like,
Agreed.
it's okay to be disappointed. Life is not fair. Life is not easy. Like, you're going to, and that's the thing. All of this correlates to like being an adult. Like, how many adults do you know that genuinely do not have any emotional regulation, that go from 0 to 60 and like that, it's like, so it's like, I strive so hard, like, for our kids to just learn to kind of emotionally regulate themselves and to feel feelings, like to feel disappointment, it's okay to feel like, yeah, we all want our kids to be happy ultimately. Absolutely. But I also want them to feel disappointment.
But how are they going to know what happy is if they've never been disappointed or upset or,
Yeah.
you know.
And
I
to
tell-
name it for them,
Yeah,
too,
absolutely.
like to help them
yeah.
through that.
And I love like telling Oliver, like, I know you're so, and it's so goofy because like when I read this book, I hear her voice, because I've been following her for so long. So like as I'm reading, I can hear her voice in my head, and like she always says like, I know you wish you want this, or I know you're disappointed, and I've been doing that with the kids for God knows how long, and it's like, I understand that you're disappointed. Like, I feel that with you. I'm going to sit here and feel it with you for as long as you need. And like, I tell the kids, like, it's okay to be upset, like, just like she says, like, and it really does resonate with them. And like sharing your experiences with the kids, like, gosh, like, I remember the one time, like, I did this and like, it didn't work out and I was so upset, and, and they're like, oh, like, I'm not alone in this,
I felt this, you felt this before
yeah,
too.
like you felt it. So it just feels so good to like connect with them on that level. Like, I'm not alone in this. Like, mom's got it, dad's got it. Like, we've been here. So like to share those emotions, and like especially disappointment, boredom, whatever it is, whatever the feeling is, like sit in it, like sit in that feeling.
I also think the boys are going to be lucky too. I mean, once they're old enough and can understand it, you talking to them about everything that you went through to get here, and all the stuff that your family went through, and all those emotions and all those things, to allow them to have a better understanding, one, of where you're from, where their heritage is from, but two, also to understand that, those are big feelings. That's who mom is. That's where mom came from. That's why mom is the way she is. So I'm excited for them to get to that point where they're old enough to understand that.
Yeah, it is cool. We all have such a different dynamic. Like Dalton was, raised by his grandmother, she's an angel on earth. She's an amazing woman. Patrick has his mom and dad, and like the dynamic from which his mom and dad came from, and like the life they lived and how they got to where they got to. And then like my parents, being immigrants. So it's like we all three of us have such different, such different ways of life. Like we all grew up so differently. So to be able to like share that with the kids, like, we were just, Dalton and I went on our walk this morning for 75 Hard, and we were having that conversation with the boy, or with each other about the boys, just, right now they're mama's boys through and through. I mean, I'm sure your kids are as well. And so, but as they get older, they're going to be leaning more into Pat, into Dalton, and, just man things and guy things, and so like, there's so much that Pat can teach them and Dalton can teach them. So like to have all three of us there, like in their corner is cool. So
yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
And one thing you were saying, but just reminded me of one of the concepts from the book was the two things are true.
Yes, I really said it
like
this morning.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
two things can be true.
Yeah, two things can be true at the same
Yeah.
time. Yes, yes, we can't have dessert, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That you're upset about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's something I've thought about a lot with Calvin recently. Is like, okay, yeah, you can, you might be upset that mommy's upstairs. It didn't bring you, because like Gina can't even go shower by herself without him wanting to come. And
Anywhere.
Yep.
No,
Nope,
like
I know.
if
Go to the bathroom. Leave the door open.
Uh-huh.
Oh
Yeah.
my
It's always
God.
cracked open.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like
If it's not the kids, the dogs, I swear.
yeah. And but yeah, it's just that's one concept I've definitely thought about a lot. That two things can be true at the
I
same time.
love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Well,
Like,
and with like motherhood or parenthood in general, like two things can be true. Parenthood could be the best thing ever, but like
Also
the
the
it can also be like
hardest.
this
Fucking hardest
kid is
thing.
driving me crazy
Yes,
right now,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
absolutely, yeah.
Right.
I love that two things can go
Mhm.
coexist. Like it's
Well, I
you
think
feel
it's just
guilty
it's just a
for
principle
for
that you-
struggling,
right.
you know,
Mhm.
It's just a principle that you can apply to literally everything
and
in your life.
everything in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think they talk about a boss and getting a raise.
Yep.
and
I was just thinking about that.
Things
yeah.
like that, I think, is what the example they use. Like, hey, it's not just parenting. It's, hey, you know what? Your boss doesn't give you a raise and doesn't explain it. It's okay for you to be mad, but still want to work for that company. Like, things like that. But,
yeah, it was like essentially like he was saying like, I understand, like, you're pissed off you didn't get your raise, and then it's like your boss can handle it one of two ways. You can either say, hey, listen, like, I'm really sorry. I know you were hoping for that. Again, it was like empathetic, understanding, and then like, kind of reflection. It's like, I understand that you didn't get this raise, and I know you're really looking forward to it. It was like, I feel like the way that I talk to my children, I can literally talk to adults the same way
Right.
and get just as good of a response and like a connection to that person, and know, hey, listen, like, I tried, like, I understand you're upset, whatever it is. Like, it's just, this book is so much more than just
parenting book.
parenting.
No.
Oh my gosh. It's such a good book. And it kind of, I get annoyed because people are like, oh, gentle parenting is such crap, like, you got to learn to keep your kids in line and whatever, it's like people have their ways of parenting, but it's like, I don't see it as gentle parenting. I just see it as like connecting and like understanding. And again, two things can be true at the same time. Like, you can be pissed off, you can be upset, but hey, we're not going to do this. It's boundaries. If you don't set boundaries with your kids, they're going to, it's obviously it's going to derail any kind of progress, but it's all about the way that you communicate and handle situations that your kid at some point. And no, it's, and what I love is she said, like, none of this is immediate. This is all long-term, it's like, this is not an immediate fix. And no, it might not fix it right away. They might understand, but it's like, if you just keep repeating at some point, like, like, things will click.
Late.
It's never too late.
Yeah, it's never too late.
For some adults it is,
Right.
but some adults it is.
Yeah, we know one.
But like, it's like, it's never too late to, kind of, I
Right.
guess, try,
Right.
so.
You talking about gentle parent reminded me. There's this TV show, and I want to rewatch it with you. I want to do that soon. It's called The Parent Test. Have you heard the show?
No.
It's on, I think it was ABC maybe, but it's a show and they have all these different parents that do all these different parenting styles. And then they put them through like tests. It's like, I don't remember what the tests were, but I know one of them was like jumping off of a high dive and the kids didn't want to do it. And it was like all their parenting types, kind of like coaching their kids through it to see which parenting type's the best.
Mhm.
But it was just really interesting seeing like all the different ways you can do things. And I want to do that again now that.
Yeah, because you watched it like right when Calvin was born. So like at that time, still infant. So we haven't really kind of experienced him telling us no and like, having the kind of personality that he does.
The nose.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well,
I know.
And then there was one test on it where they let the kids pretend that they were the parents, and seeing the kids act like those parents and like the authoritative and like talking back to them was really interesting to see. And I mean, ultimately the show came down to every parenting type is good in some sense. Like,
It's all got a time and a place.
yeah, right. But it's
I
just
think a
interesting to
blend
kind of
it.
see.
I think that's kind of what because I didn't watch every episode with you, but it just seemed like, I don't think there's one style that is the style. Like, I think it's kind of like a combination.
Like
of
a mix.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Well, and you're not going to be the same for both your kids, or
Right.
all your kids
It's
either.
true.
Yeah.
Everybody's every kid, which I'm really excited to, kind of see, when Theo's personality kind of starts to develop. I'm like really curious to see
How
he's
different
gonna,
or-
is he gonna be just
yeah.
like Calvin, or is he gonna be like a more sweet,
Mm-hmm.
gentle, like calm kid? I don't know. Because Calvin's the real boy's boy.
yeah.
There's no
He's a mama's boy, but he's a boy's boy.
yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
awesome.
fun.
That's really cool. Growing up is the whole repairing your relationship. It was like my mom and dad, it was like, I'm right, you're wrong, kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, my parents are amazing. They raised me the best they could with what they had, right? They went through their own trial and tribulations and stuff. And but it's like the repair aspect of a relationship. Like, if I lose my shit, which again we do, I yell, and then like immediately like I feel bad, so like I'll calm down, I'll go back to the boys and I'll say, hey, listen, mommy yelled and I shouldn't have, and I'm really sorry. You don't deserve it. You're a good kid. You're an amazing kid, and mommy's gonna do better about controlling her anger and all these things. And they always say like it's okay. And there have been so many times where like Oliver will lose his shit or Connor will lose his shit, and then he'll come back like later all on his own, and he'll just be like, Mom, I'm really sorry. Like, I'm really sorry I yelled, without me ever having to ask him. He'll just do it on his own. And again, it's like, so it's not these immediate things that, that happen, but it's like over time, it's like you have to be there calm, or, you have to essentially replicate the behavior that you want, so it's like, it's okay that we lose our shit. Like, nobody's perfect. I am not a perfect mom. Pat's not a perfect dad. Like we all lose our shit. And if you say you're perfect, you're a lying sack of shit.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
you're
sure.
not. You know, I hate to say that, you know, I yell at my kids. I have and I do, but like it's not so much for me, like my yelling, it's how I repair it afterwards. You know, it's like I have no problem as a parent, you know, unlike my mom and dad, like I have no problem being like, I fucked up. I'm really sorry. You don't deserve that. You're an amazing child. And then we just move on, you know, and it's like, I will do better.
Yeah, I did that this past weekend. We're in the gym at the apartment and sitting there working out. They started wrestling. Things got a little violent too quickly. And,
Shocking.
yeah, and Connor basically had Oliver in a headlock, and then did a spin and threw him to the ground.
Oh God.
And Oliver almost narrowly missed a thing that holds the weights, the weight plates.
Oh God.
And I was like, oh shit. So I went and I grabbed Connor because he was like getting ready to jump on him. And so I grabbed him.
Your immediate reaction was like fear.
Oh
like,
yeah, grabbed him and pulled him back. And I had him by the back of the shirt. Connor also has really long hair. So and I pulled some of his hair and he lost his shit. And I felt like he immediately started crying. And I was like, Connor, no, we can't, not in here. Playtime. Like, and I wasn't yelling at him. But like, he was so frightened
He was so scared
because
about
I grabbed him by the shirt and had his hair, that even though I was talking to him in a calm way, like, hey man, we don't do this, like not here. There's a time and place. We can't throw your brother around these things. He had like this look on his eyes. And as soon as I let go, he lost it. And he went running out, went back to the apartment. And then Oliver, they're so close. He got up and he's like, Connor, it's okay. It's
so
okay.
Protective. They are so protective of each other. Oh
Connor,
my God.
come back. It's okay. It's okay. And then Oliver comes running back. He goes, Dad, that was mean. Why did you do that to him? And I'm like, what? But he goes, you pulled Connor's hair. And then it clicked. And I was like, oh shit. So stopped the workout, went back to the house. Connor's like, I'm mad at you and I don't love you anymore.
Oh, you guys started hearing that? I don't love you. Have you heard that? Yeah. No, I don't love you. Yeah.
Well, no,
that's always
I
good.
I don't like you, Daddy. Or,
Oh, yeah.
What is
Or
what's he been saying lately? Yeah.
he's not my father.
Yeah, he's been saying that. Yeah.
You are not my dad anymore.
And I'm like, who is? And he'll be like, Cooper, which is our dog.
Yeah.
I'm like, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, I pulled him aside and sat him down in the room and was like, got down on his level and apologized to him and said, buddy, I wasn't trying to pull your hair. I was just trying, like, you were getting ready to go after Oliver and I wanted to stop you. So like, I just grabbed as quick as I could and that's what I got. And I'm sorry. That was my fault and had to apologize with him. And he's like, okay, I kind of love you now. I was like,
they love
yeah.
saying that.
I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll take I kind of love you over not loving me. But he's like, I understand why you're upset and hurt, and I didn't mean to scare you, and just kind of moved on from that and just let it go. And then I was like, all right, Mom's getting ready to come pick you up. We gotta go get to Mom's soon. We gotta take a bath. And so go and take a bath, and then after the bath, he gave me a hug and was like, Dad, I love you, and all that stuff. Like, so it's just how you gotta like. Yeah, I fucked up and reacted.
But it was a safety thing too.
Right,
It was just out of fear.
but-
You reacted out
right,
of fear,
but
100%.
But he didn't see it that way.
No.
He just saw it as
He
like,
saw
look,
it-
I'm
Dad's
having
mad at me.
fun.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
Dad,
pull my hair.
exactly. And I'm like, buddy, I wasn't mad at you. I wasn't.
Mhm.
I was like, if you remember, I wasn't even yelling at you. I was having a conversation, but I'm sorry that like, I didn't realize, like in that moment, the strength or how hard I was pulling on that shirt to hold you back. And
he
that-
was wrestling, so he was already heightened
exactly,
to begin with.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, no, that was I felt terrible, absolutely awful. And but like I said, Connor and Oliver are like this. I mean, they love each other.
Oh my gosh, they protect each other so
So
much.
much.
Like, yeah, they get me mad at each other. Like Connor, you're the worst, or Connor, I hate you. And if I, God forbid, like somebody yells at them, or like if somebody takes their toy, or other kid like does something to them, oh
Yeah.
my God, he is up in his face. Like, that's my brother. Don't you touch him.
Well, I've started
so
flipping the script. When I hear them start yelling at each other like that, then I'll get on. I'm like, yeah, that's right. And then they'll be
He's
like,
like,
hey,
yeah.
don't talk. No, don't talk to him like that. I'm talking to him like that. Like,
They're so protective
Switch
of
it
each
up.
other.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's all, I think tone is such a huge part of parenting. Like yesterday, Patrick dropped the boys off and I guess they were a little little.
They were wild.
They were on one yesterday
Yeah.
with him, and he dropped him off at the back door, and like, Mom, I want to go outside, and I forget what else he said. He was like, I want to go outside, and he's like, no, he's like, it's cold, and he said some other kind of remark, and I said, who are you talking to? And he's like, oh, and I was like, okay. I said, who am I? And he's like, Mom. And I said, okay. I said, how do we talk to Mom? He's like, politely. I said, okay. I was like, so what is it that, what, he's like, well, I want to go outside. And I said, okay. I said, that's fine. I said, you need a jacket, you need a sweater, you need a hat. And he's like, okay. And I swear, like, everything is just about tonality. And I understand, like, so many times it's hard to just, like, calm down and, like, to, like you said, like, being proactive as opposed to reactive. Like, being reactive is so much easier. It's so much easier to yell and scream and, like, like, just be on your kids. But it's like, at the end of the day, it doesn't do shit. Like, all they do is just become compliant and just do whatever you want them to do. Like, they're cause out of fear, right? Like, that is, to me, like, I was a very compliant child out of fear. I was very compliant. And like, I'm like, I don't want my kids to be compliant. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want them to do it because it's the right thing to do or it's the appropriate thing to do, not because like they
Are
want,
scared.
yeah, they're scared or because like that's what mom wants. Mom wants. It's like, I want you to know that is the right thing to do or whatever.
That intrinsic.
Yeah.
or
So like
sex-
tonality is
Mhm.
everything. And I know it's hard. I know, like God knows I'm not perfect. He's heard me yell a million times, but like tonality is huge with kids. Like when I need them to do something like at nighttime, like, I'll tuck him into bed and we do like rubs, pats, and scratches or whatever. Like we have like our little bedtime routine.
We do too.
Yeah.
Ours is ridiculous.
Yeah, ours is ridiculous. Absolutely. Yeah. They'll say goodnight 5 times and then, they get in bed. And sometimes we do like face painting, like where I like draw animal shapes on their
Love
face.
that.
And it kind of like calms them down a little bit. Like it just like kind of soothing. And so like I'll draw like a tiger and they have to guess it, And so we'll do that, like a minute of rubs, pats, scratches. Then we'll have like conversations
Okay, so that's
and
what
talks and
Oliver's
stuff.
asking for.
Face painting, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
so
think
you have
legit
to.
face
Yeah, you're like, what?
We'll lay in
Sounds
bed
like a
and
No,
like,
mess.
he's
and
like-
I'll
he's
just
like,
take
Dad,
my finger
just-
gently.
He's just like that.
Yeah.
Draw my face. And I'm like, what?
I don't know what made me do that one night, and they just love it. It's so soothing. Like, it just calms them down the other night, or we'll read books or whatever. But like our bedtime routine is like our night to have like conversations, and we'll talk to each other. And shoot, I don't know where I was going with that. About tonality. Jeez, I don't even know. But anyways, bedtime routines. Those are fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing from the book that I've taken and I've seen you do a lot, and that's something I'm trying to do more of is like, validating his feelings.
Mhm.
Like, hey, I know you're feeling this way, and it's okay to feel upset because you can't have your third Z bar today. Like, but like that's just one thing that I've noticed you do a lot that I'm like trying to work on for sure and being more aware of it, like validating the kids' feelings.
And that was the first thing I started implementing from this was saying that. And ever since I started doing that, it's one, if that's the first thing that comes out of my mouth is I can see that you're angry and I understand why you're angry. It's changed the way that I approach all the conversations that I have with them from there on. It keeps me from yelling. It keeps me from getting upset or, heightened response. But ever since I started doing that, like, okay, Oliver, you're upset. What are you up?
I do that. I know you wish you could. Like she says,
Mhm.
like I'll follow her on Instagram. She's like, I wish you could have, or you wish you could have this, whatever.
Yeah.
Wish
Wish
kinda
you
like,
could have that toy. Or
yeah,
whatever it is,
yeah. Like you wish you could. Like it's emphasizing, but it's not just saying it. It's really,
Yeah.
it's not just, yeah, I get it. You're upset. Like I get it. But imagine like if you were like having an argument with your spouse, and your spouse is trying to express like emotion to you, and she used so much of like a adult
Oh, dude,
relationship
uh-huh.
examples in here. Like you come home from work and you've had a long day at work, you're stressed out, you're pissed off, and now you gotta make dinner, now you gotta do this, and your husband comes in or your wife or whatever, your partner comes in and asks you a question, you just kind of snap at them, and so instead of snapping back, you're like, whoa, like she's kind of going through some stuff, like this isn't really her. It's again like step back and just instead of just saying like, saying like, oh my God, like what's your problem? Like what's wrong with you? Which we're all guilty of. We've all done it. But instead of just reacting in that way, like, hey, like something's really going on, so really just to be empathetic and to actually like acknowledge those feelings or that problem instead of just saying, yeah, like I get it. It's like just taking that time, like slow down. Just, as far as when I don't know how they are dads, but when they're with mom, like it really, really made a huge difference. So
I mean, it's close quarters, so it escalates quickly in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's they'll be, one will be in my room watching TV, the other one will be on the couch, and then they'll go flip flop, and one will come to the couch, and the other one will go to the room, and then they'll wind up in the room, and when they're in the room together, there's gonna be fighting, and that's just normally how that happens, and that's how I get noise complaints, and like that's I'm just like I'm like boys, stay on the bed. You can wrestle and fight on the bed all you want, but please do not jump on the floor because it sounds like you're going to put a hole through the floor when you do this, especially Oliver. He's just,
he's got
he sounds like a herd of elephants walking through anywhere. He's so heavy footed. Connor, Connor, you don't ever hear him, but yeah, I mean, it was just like that was one of those things where I'm like, fuck, I get a little agitated when I start hearing loud noises because I know that the people below me are going to go fucking report me to things. And I'm just like, again,
it's like that goes back to that thing. It's like you're annoyed. It's judging. It's you being judged by other people. It's not so much them. Like they're kids.
Right.
Like,
Well,
and that's, they don't know how to play quietly.
Right.
Like, I mean, they do, but you know what I mean?
But they don't realize that what that sounds like below them. They're just thinking they're having fun.
And that's the thing. It was like before reading this, I would get really upset with them about it and yell at them. Now I'm just like, boys, we'll sit them down. I'll go in. I'm like, hey, come here. Sit on the bed. Let's talk about this for a second. We've talked about this before. I told you that we got to be quiet because if we're not, they're gonna kick us out. Like we're not gonna have a place to stay anymore. They won't let us live here.
We'll be on the streets.
Yeah, we're gonna be on the streets. I was like, now, what does that sound like? Does that sound like fun? And they're like, no. It's like, all right, so if you're gonna wrestle, it's fine. Stay on the bed, or better yet, go in your room and wrestle because there's no one under you there. So go and wrestle in your room. I'm like, oh, okay. So they go and do that. But before I would lose my shit. I'm like, boys, what are you doing? That didn't help either because they just did it.
Of course.
Yeah. One thing I do, and I think she talks about it in this book too, is I have to take Calvin out of situations so
100%.
often.
Yep.
And when I go in the other room and we just cuddle on the couch and like he gets so dysregulated.
Yeah.
And that I feel like that's helped so much in situations.
I've been doing that with Ollie because Ollie's that.
Ollie's very, he's going through like this like anger kind of thing. Last night we were playing pool downstairs and not with the pool sticks, like the pool cues, but just they were like rolling the balls, you know. Yeah. And Connor, being the competitive one, he'd like get when he's like, yeah, I'm the best. He's like, yeah, and Ollie would be like, I suck. And then he'd get like angry and he's like starts to stomp. And I'm like, Ollie, and I just like put my hand on his heart and he's like, oh, he like does this like deep like exhale, and it's just I don't know. He's just like a little gremlin, man. He's like this angry little gremlin, but he's just I don't know what, but like there was something I heard. It was like for kids, and I might say this wrong. So if you've ever heard of this, it was like questions are their kryptonite and something like statements. Like I'll go in their room and I'll like instead of asking them, like I'll just like make a statement. Or what is it? Is it the other way around? Have you heard this? It's like this. He's like I don't know what he's like a parenting coach or something like that. But he says statements are their fuel and questions are their kryptonite or something. Or maybe it's the opposite. Statements are their fuel and questions are their kryptonite. Why are we still talking? You know what I'm saying? Like instead of like, stop talking, like, like, or stop yelling. Like you go and like, why are we still yelling? So it's like when you ask them a question instead of a statement, like instead of, and especially at this age, they're just wild and they're boys. Like I love that they're boys. They're just wild little boys. Their testosterone's constantly just pumping through their body all the time. Like they're like slamming each other on the couch and like jumping from one to another, And so this is what I forgot earlier. And I was telling the story about bedtime routine. I'll be, I'll tuck them in. I'm like, hey, I'll be right back, and like, I'll hear them like still giggling and laughing, and they sleep in the bunk beds. And so I'll come in and I'm like, hey, so why are we still talking? And then they'll just like, shut up and they'll just stop. And so I think that is the right saying though. It's questions are their kryptonite and statements are their fuel. Gotcha. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
That's cool. I'll start asking them more questions.
Yeah. The questions always trip them up. Like, wait,
what?
Well,
I got to answer this now.
We have too many questions in our house.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions. Everything's why.
From Calvin.
Why.
Oh, my God. Everything's why. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Hey, Calvin, we can't have another Z bar.
Why?
Why? You've already had 3.
Do you guys do like options with him? Do you find that's easier? Mm-hmm. Like you can have this or this.
But then he uses it. He'll go, let's go in the kitchen and look at my options.
Oh, no.
I love that. No, I took him to a basketball game. When was that, Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. And oh my God, the questions about a basketball game. I didn't know I had to explain everything.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, Siri, what is football?
Well, he's like, my little cousin, they're 5th grade.
Yeah.
And he's like, he got a foul. And he's like, he fell? Like, no, he got a foul. What's a foul? Well, he hit somebody,
why?
is what I said.
Why?
Well, why? Why did he hit him? Well, he accidentally did. Well, who did he hit? Well, that guy. What guy? That one right there in the blue shoes. The light blue shoes or the dark blue shoes? I don't know. I just made it up.
Yeah.
But everything's a question.
Everything's a question. And then like,
Does he do the questions at bedtime too? Like, why is the sky blue?
My favorite.
Yeah.
is-
Why do ladybugs
The
have
one
spots?
day he called me upstairs because he delays bedtime and then he
Oh,
calls me up
Mhm.
and I walk up there and he goes, Mommy, I know where Nashville is.
Oh no! Yeah, we've definitely
Well, and that's because that's where Taylor Swift moved to. And that's why he knew that. But I was
his
like,
Taylor Swift book.
mm-hmm.
Got a Taylor Swift book.
Oh, he
Mhm.
does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that's sweet.
Or one time I
Sweet.
was like, Mom, is Daisy Duck a girl or a boy? Why are we talking about this right
She's
now?
a
I
girl.
love the
Yeah.
nighttime
Yeah.
questions, man.
Well,
You're like, just shut up and go to bed.
Yeah.
He's just
Oh.
a delay.
Well, they'll
delay.
Well, then it's just like they'll get up and they'll be like, Dad, I got to ask you a question. I'm like, what's up, buddy? I love you.
Mhm.
I'm like,
I love you.
Yeah.
You're like, and I always tell them, like, I'm like, that's not a question, it's a
Yeah.
statement. So then I'll come out like, Mom, I have a statement for you.
I have a statement for you that's even better.
He's like, I love you.
Calvin says, can I tell you a question? I got to tell you a
Oh.
question.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love
What are we
it.
going
I
to do
have
in
a
the morning?
statement.
I'm like, I don't care. Just go to bed.
Does he get excited? Do you guys ever tell him like plans in advance?
Oh yeah,
Or do you wait till like
she
the
does,
moment?
and well, that was something
It
I think she brought
depends.
up in the book. Is like kind of like I think it was in the book, right? Where she was talking about kind of explaining what's going to happen. And,
Oh
like, to
yeah,
kind of
like
prevent
for
and
anxiety.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's one
Yep.
thing I notice you do with Calvin a lot. Like you're always like, "What are we gonna do tomorrow?" Well, first we're gonna wake up, we're gonna eat breakfast, and then we're gonna go to Mimi's house, and then you're gonna take a nap at Mimi's house, but then Mommy's gonna come back or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and like you kind of like break down the whole day. And
When I prepare him for things like on the way places, like, okay, when we're going
But they
somewhere,
do
like,
so much
what's
better.
the rules?
Oh,
what
so
are we
much
going to
better
do?
that way. Like they know what to expect. They know what's coming. So it's not like in the middle of the play, you're like, all right, time to go home. Like you knew, it's like
Yeah.
they knew it was time to go. You prepped them for that. I love that. That's
It's
so true. Yeah.
something that she said there's like children have there's so many few things that children actually have control over, and like and having them like know what's going to happen in advance is going to like help with that.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
much.
Like,
Yeah.
going to the dentist or
Right.
going to the
They're gonna
doctors.
they're gonna
Yeah.
open up your mouth and they're
Yep.
gonna touch your teeth,
Mhm.
and
That's
like,
right.
we haven't done that yet, have we?
No, we need to do
Yeah,
that.
that's
You talked about the whole brain child. Have you started that?
I literally am like on page like 10. That's
Okay.
my new book for
Because the first thing in that book, they talk about like a car accident and the kids in a car
Yes.
accident.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's kind of
yeah,
explaining that thing,
yeah.
and they're asking all these questions when
And he's
really,
like, don't ignore it.
yeah, they're
like,
trying
keep
to make
talking
sense about it,
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
it's the same question
It's like,
over and over.
absolutely,
It's
yeah.
just
Yep.
their
Yeah.
way of processing.
Yeah, I was
through
like, oh, let's go
things.
get ice cream, and it's like, no, don't do that.
Mhm.
It's like I
Talk
think
through
the boys' babysitter, they were in the car together,
Mhm.
and they got into a car. She had like an epilepsy or a seizure or something in the car. She crashed, and so they took her to the ambulance or either took her to the hospital or something like that. And so the boy was obviously very traumatized, and he was like 2 or 3 years old. He really didn't speak, many words, and he kept saying like Iwa, like woo woo or something. So Iwa was Sophia, that was his babysitter, and only his mom obviously understood the
Mhm.
I'm sure
Right.
Calvin has things
Yeah.
that you guys only understand versus others. And he said woo woo, and woo woo was like the ambulance, the
Ambulance,
sirens. And so his mom was like, okay, let's go get ice cream. Let's just forget about it. And they're like, no, don't do that. Like their brains need to go through these traumatic experiences and like to understand like what they're actually feeling. So I'm really excited about this one. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
check that one out next.
Maybe that'll be next. Maybe they'll
Maybe.
get us on here again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ladies, we really appreciate you guys coming
Thank you,
on.
guys.
This was
Thank
a
you,
ton
thank
of
you.
fun. And yeah, we should definitely do this again. It was fun to just hang out with you guys for the last hour. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so
Should we hit them?
you
Should I hit
wanna
with
hit
them?
it? Okay,
Yeah.
hit him with it.
All right.
Oh, no.
No.
Is this a tombstone?
No, I
Is this a
can't.
tombstone question?
Yeah.
No, I've literally thought about this. I'm like, what the fuck would I'm
I
like,
wasn't
nothing.
prepared.
I wasn't prepared either.
Exactly.
but I
That's
thought
the
about it.
point.
I knew they were going to ask me, and I still have not prepared myself.
That's the point. Catch you off guard.
All right,
It's
go
a
ahead.
real
Say it.
answer.
Say it out
All
loud.
right. Tombstone game. Okay. Gina. Here lies Gina. What's it say on your
Aw.
tombstone? Melissa. Here lies Melissa. What's it say on your
That's
tombstone?
morbid and depressing.
Not at
I
all.
don't
It's
know.
what-
I'm gonna go
is.
with my favorite quote
Okay.
and change it. So wherever she was all there.
Oh,
Perfect.
Love that.
Love
Yeah.
that. I really have no idea.
It's your last
No.
message to the world.
I don't know. I never really think about myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm always thinking about other people and especially
It's
I
basically
know, if you think
what's
about your tombstone, I
know.
start
what's
crying.
what
know.
what's most important to you? What how do you want people to remember you?
I don't know that I would want to write tombstone. Like, I mean,
Obituary, whatever.
yeah, my obituary. I mean, how long?
Tombstone
can it
sounds
be?
better than obituary.
Yeah.
I know. Obituary,
Obituary
sounds really
game.
sad. Yeah, the obituary game. I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know how to answer that. I really
Loving
don't.
mother,
Well, I
look,
mean,
like-
that's the first thing I would think
Right.
of is like, to be like the best mom like ever. But it's like I can't say that. I mean, that's my goal to be best mom, but I guess
Yeah.
that's up to Connor and Oliver to decide that. Not really for me, but I did my best.
You were good
okay.
inside.
Yeah.
What's that? The meme? Like,
I did
what do
my-
you do? Yeah, what do you do, Tom? I do my best.
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
I did my
That's
best.
what-
It's gonna
that's what-
say. I do my
I,
best.
I
okay?
did my best.
I did my best. That's
Okay.
my tombstone.
Did you guys ever answer that question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your tombstone?
Oh,
I don't think you guys have
It's-
ever
I don't think
answered
I've
that.
ever heard you guys say what your
So,
what's on your tombstone.
what's on yours?
Now you're on the
Oh,
spot.
flipping
Throwing it right back at us.
Oh, look at her.
Oh shit. Well,
You guys had plenty of episodes.
You guys
to
have had like
think.
9,000 episodes to think about
we've
this.
had quite a few.
Yeah. Loving father, loyal husband or partner and friend, and someone that could be dependent upon no matter what.
Ditto.
Yeah, same. No.
Hashtag same.
Yeah.
We'll just put your tombstone next to the point arrow. What he said.
Yeah. Well,
I'm with stupid.
I'm with the big guy.
Oh God.
You know,
We'll have like a big tomb and like a little tomb. Like. That's tough. See,
Yeah, it is
yeah.
hard. It is
Go
hard.
ahead. Yeah.
He worked really hard. He was very loyal. He always did his best. And loving a father and husband, I guess, would be something along those lines. I might need to edit that and make
Come
it
back.
a little bit better.
Yeah, people don't ask
So,
us
people
that.
don't ask us that. I was
Way
not
to go,
prepared.
Gina. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey, you guys always ask other people.
Right.
Uno
Yeah.
reverse. Uno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slap the Uno reverse card.
She pulls the card out.
Yeah. That's epic.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
tuning
guys.
into the show. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button for us yet, please do that. That would help us out a ton. Hit that like button as well. Comment what you thought below, and we will see you next time.